featured speaker, someone you all probably know very well. Eli Erlick is a trans activist and organizer. She is 18 years old. She's the current director of Trans Student Equality Resources. At age 8, she declared herself to the world as a girl, though some of the world wasn't ready to accept that yet. Her parents were not among them. So at age 13, they allowed her to transition, both socially and medically. At age 17, she founded Trans Student Equality Resources, and she was named one of the Refinery 29's 30 Under 30, making her the youngest person ever to be named on that list. She is also one of the Trans 100 for this year. So please give a warm welcome to Eli. Thank you.
So as you heard, I am still Eli Erlick, and oh wow, you have to hold this mic really close to your face. And so my presentation is about queer organizing and different types of queer organizing. Please do take pictures, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever. Social media is really important, and it's something that I really appreciate. So essentially, could we switch slide? Sorry, I'm used to doing everything from my computer. So essentially what I want you to take away from this presentation is rethinking your understanding of queer organizing, learning a little bit about the history, and knowing how to support the queer community as a whole. There's going to be a really short Q&A afterwards if you have any questions, and you can totally come up to me afterwards. I don't bite. So that's an option too. Next slide. So jumping right into things. What we're up against is essentially prejudice and power, which manifests in the queer community as a few of these and a broad spectrum of other factors as well. Homophobia, heterosexism, transphobia, cissexism, transmisogyny. These are all things that members of our community face every single day. And what I'm going to be talking about today is how to overcome these and how organizing can help combat them all at once. Next slide. These are, you probably can't see it because this projector is really blurry, but these are a few of the crude statistics of what these factors do, particularly in the trans community. We're seeing 80% of trans students not feeling safe at school. Some studies have found up to 30% of trans women are incarcerated, and 41% of trans people attempt suicide, which are all absolutely ridiculous numbers that should not be happening. Next slide. So we're probably wondering who is this affecting, which is a very broad range of different people who have different gender identities, different sexual orientations, romantic attractions, sex is a sign of birth. Also, I want to just point out that at TSCR we recreated what you probably know as the genderbread person, because the popularized version of the genderbread person is extremely inaccurate and doesn't give credit to the original creators. So we're currently working on recreating something more like this. Next slide. Next one. Okay, cool. Sorry for all this choppy slide changes. So youth organizing is incredibly important. Most of you are youth. I'm sure you're all very familiar with this. An example that I really like to use is that Sylvia Rivera, who led Stonewall and has led the trans movement for many years. Unfortunately, she passed away back in 2005. She was 17 at the time of the Stonewall riots, and she was such an excellent leader in the community. And then organizations are also starting to focus more on youth, knowing how important we are. And so these are just like a few examples of what different types of organizing youth can get involved with. Essentially, there's 3 different types of organizing: services, rights, and justice. They're pretty much what they sound like. Services like provides immediate support for the community. Rights does like the most good for most people at once. And justice focuses on long-term change. Often rights and justice organizing conflict, because often rights organizing does not work for long-term change, just short-term goals. Next slide. And so here's a few types. Here's a few different organizations. I'm sure you're at least familiar with the Trevor Project and HRC. So Vera Rivera Law Project is another organization from, they're currently in New York, that provides services for incarcerated trans people of color, and a really diverse array of queer people who need legal help. And SRLP is just such an excellent organization that focuses on long-term justice work. Next slide. And then I also I can't say it enough that no organization, or very few organizations, stick within just one parameter of organizing. For example, HRC is essentially a rights organization, but they do services. SRLP does everything. They're really cool. And then just a few more examples. You probably recognize some of these other ones. I know we have a PFLAG booth back there. And then all of these different types of organizing fit together in different ways. Essentially, a community can't exist and can't prosper without all types of organizing. We do need organizing that may hurt the community in the long run for the sake of decreasing victimization, which is an unfortunate fact of different marginalized communities. Organizing does help on all sorts of different levels, and they're all equal. I wouldn't say that any of them are more important than other ones. And then more info on the different types of organizing. Justice organizing, while I do tend to focus on it a lot, and it is very important, due to backlash, it can indirectly increase victimization, which is very important to also recognize. And I may hate on rights organizing a lot that we see at HRC and different larger queer orgs, but they are incredibly effective at passing legislation, gaining media visibility, and decreasing victimization. And then we see what we may view queer oppression as looking like would be something like this, but it's really something more like this. Oh wow, you really can't see that. Okay. Well, all oppressions are connected. It's very important to notice that and recognize that no community is homogenous. No community only has one type of person in it. The services and rights organizations and organizing have a lot of work to do in this area, and it's something that has been focused more on in recent years, but can continually improve. And there's a lot more important topics than things like opening the military to queer people or marriage. There's obtaining racial, social, and economic justice for queer people. There's prison abolition. There's being able to live openly and authentically without facing victimization. There's all sorts of things that we haven't even discovered or comprehended yet. And so basically what I want you to get out of this is realizing that there's a need to reform organizing, rethinking it. Youth are the most important organizers, in my opinion, and in reality. And then also, all forms of oppression are connected. None of them exist in a vacuum, and it's important to focus on all of them at once. And a little shout out to a few people that helped me on this: Danny Diamond, Landon Pan, who's TSCR's amazing graphic artist, who does some of the graphics that you saw on this, and then also Lee Lucas, who inspired the typology of organizing. And TSCR's mission statement, I'm not going to read it. You probably all want to go to your workshops now. Okay, so I'm wondering if any of you have questions for me, because I went through that really fast.
On one of the charts that you showed, it said in the justice organizing that it focuses on the root cause. I'm wondering what you would suggest is like the best way to identify the root cause and then combat it.
Sometimes it can be difficult to identify root causes of problems. It's something that's a little more like isolated in academia, which becomes really inaccessible and like hard to focus on. Root causes are often like long-held beliefs of like homophobia, heterosexism, etc., that we face and may not even realize that we face. For example, SRLP does like protests and awareness, like marches. Different events really can help these things. There's also root causes like the prison system, which incarcerates a disproportionate amount of queer people and queer people of color. And those are just a few examples. There's also like militarism in other countries, etc. That answered your question. Anyone else?
In the bio that the MC gave you, it said that when you came out as trans, your parents didn't really accept it, but later, oh, they did? Just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I was, like, I came out when I was 8 years old, and then my parents were, like, totally not accepting until I was, like, 12, 13. Which was a really hard time for me, but also partially inspired the work that I do, because I was so isolated. I didn't have any resources. I didn't have any information about my identity. And that's part of why I started TSCR, why I became a BLISSN National Advisory Council member, why I now work for the Trevor Project and Youth Advisory Council member. It all ties in together, and I don't want what happened to me to happen to anyone else. And I know that I got really lucky that I did, in the end, have parents that did become accepting and did see how unhappy I was being forced to live as male.
Do you know how the Transgender Law Center, which is based in Oakland, is different from others that you're thinking about? I'm not familiar with that.
Are you talking about Sylvia Rivera Law Project?
Yeah.
Transgender Law Center and Sylvia Rivera Law Project operate very, very differently. I'd say the Transgender Law Center is definitely a bit, it's a bit bigger. I don't like work for them or anything. I know a lot of people there. I know there's some people that here today that work there. They're, oh yeah, hi Mark. They're really great. They do some excellent legal work. Sylvia Rivera Law Project is also based in New York, while the TLC is based in Oakland now. TLC also focuses on like a broader range of issues than Sylvia Rivera Law Project, which is a lot more focused on the prison system. I hope you all have a really good summit, and it was really nice speaking to everyone. And totally feel free to come up to me after I'm done. As I said, I don't bite, so I look forward to meeting you.
Give it up one more time for Eli. Awesome. Awesome to see trans youth really organizing and creating change locally and nationally. Thank you for all your work. So now we'll be transitioning, into workshops. Would you like to make an announcement? Cool.
Hi. Okay, so I'll basically tell you where the workshop's being hosted. We have 2 classrooms upstairs on the 2nd floor. Classrooms 209 and 212. 209 Hi-Fi is hosting a workshop, Then we have, wait, sorry, I need to have a list. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I thought I had this memorized, but I do not. We're gonna have Mozilla in here, so learn about LGBTQ and tech. We have the projector and everything here. So okay, do you have a list? Here it is. Okay, the full list. We have so Hi-Fi in room 209 upstairs is going to be a workshop on safe sex. So check that out. We'll have the Transgender Law Center is hosting a workshop on trans awareness in room 212. And then here we have LGBTQ and tech, hosted by Mozilla. And then we have religion and sexuality, hosted by Pastor Maria. I'm sorry, we wrote Sister Maria instead of Pastor, so it's totally our fault. But yeah, so we're going to also have that. Sam, did we determine exactly which room
We were gonna.
Yeah, so we're gonna partition this auditorium into 2 sections. So we're gonna have 2 different workshops in here. So you'll have the easier opportunity to listen to 2 at once. So yeah, basically you can split up. You can go to whichever one you would like. Feel free, and obviously respect the fact that people are speaking and presenting, but feel free to stop in and out of different workshops. You can try to absorb as much information as possible. So yes, with that, you are all welcome to go explore and go to workshops. And